and then pass on to you.
Thank you.
So let me first start by giving a warm welcome to everyone who has joined us today and from around the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening in your part of the globe. We are so happy that you're with us today. As I said, feel free to drop your introduction in the chat and where you're joining from. And it's an absolute pleasure for us to introduce one of the most, kind of revolutionary thing that we have been seeing in the market, which is agentic automation. And we are so happy to be hosted it by the UiPath Community, which is Adelaide chapter. So today we are going to explore how agentic automation is improving business processes by combining the intelligence of AI, adapting it to the advanced automation technologies, and then empowering it with the human decision making. Am I audible or?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, okay, thanks. And to guide us on this journey, we are so happy to have Tony Nutt as our speaker. And all of you who have been part of UiPath community, you would have definitely come across Tony. He's a thought leader in the field of automation with almost 2 decades of experience in AI-driven business automation across various industries. And his insights have inspired me, and I'm sure many of you worldwide, to embrace innovation and adapt to a very rapidly changing landscape of automation. So thanks a lot, Tony, for accepting our request and coming to me to deliver this session. So thanks a lot. We are so happy to have you here. Last but not the least, my name is Saloni Juneja, and I lead the automation practice for Pernix. I'm based in Adelaide. And as part of my role, I work very closely with customers for implementation of solutions, performing discoveries. I also understand customer requirements to help them also set up some of the COE teams. So Tony, I'll pass it on to you to take us through the agentic automation.
Thank you, Saloni. I hope you can all hear me. I won't be able to see the chat messages or questions while I'm presenting. So Saloni, if you want to interrupt me, just do it through voice. Otherwise, I'm going to rattle on without stopping. So thank you for that. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for making some time. I will share my slide. I do have some live demonstration, a couple of videos to sort of take us through the journey, if you like. I've sort of set myself a goal of about half an hour's presenting, maybe 15 minutes Q&A with a little bit of overtime. But that might change depending on how interactive people are. My agenda, as you can see, is very quick. Saloni's very kindly done the introductions, and I'm always trying to find a way to visit Saloni in Adelaide because I really like having lunch in Peel Street. And so I'll try and find an excuse soon to visit Saloni. We'll start with a quick overview of UiPath AI, and apologies for all of you who've probably seen about 1,000 iterations of that, but it's just good to level set with everyone. We'll touch a little bit on autopilot and Gen AI activities. And then we'll start talking about what an agent is and the agentic framework, and then open up for some questions. But please do ask questions in the chat, and Saloni will organize those. Cool. If you weren't here to talk about UiPath Agentics or agentic automation, you're in the wrong webinar, but please do stay. I think you'll find it'll be quite interesting. Cool. Now, this is really, really important. I don't expect you to read the fine print, but it basically says I will be talking about some UiPath products that are just being released or are under private preview. That means they have been released to certain customers, but not everybody. And what I'm going to be showing you is pre-general availability. And that basically means things could change. So I am not promising you that any feature, screen, look or feel, or anything like that in certain products will be available when it goes publicly available. Okay, so please don't complain to me in April if you say, oh, that button I was expecting isn't there anymore. Why not, Tony? Well, things change, and you really are seeing some sort of preview examples of our agent builder that I'll show later. So you've probably been inundated with people saying we are an AI company and we sell AI. Do you want to buy some AI offers? And they'll tell you what they do and how good they are. And you look at their company history, and they started maybe last year or maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago. UiPath isn't one of those. We've been around since 2018, and many of you have been supporters of UiPath since then. So thank you very much for continuing the journey with us. Even back in 2018, we were using AI in our products. We had something called computer vision, and that uses AI and machine learning to identify where things were on a computer screen to help our robots automate work. So we've always been in the AI space. It's always been part of our product set. And as you can see, over time, we've been adding more and more capabilities and also supporting that AI functionality. Sort of round about, excuse me, 2021, something like that, we introduced the discovery tools, the analytics tools, continuous testing, and then things really got interesting when we brought out the intelligent document understanding, the DU capabilities. That really did embrace a lot of AI, where we were extracting information from pages, and also something called communications mining. That's where we were using AI to read messages, emails, attachments, to understand what is it and who needs to process this thing. And also, are there some named entities in that body of text, if you like, that we could extract that's useful for. So things like, is there a person's name in the email or the message? Is there an address? Is there an account number? And the AI was used to extract those in order to help our robots automate work quickly. So again, this was all happening pre-Gen AI and the explosion of ChatGPT. And then it happened. 2023, we were all welcomed to life with ChatGPT and other similar LLMs. And again, we embraced that, and we started building out what we call our Gen AI activities. And I'll go through a few of those and show you a demonstration in a moment. That capability of generative AI to our robots brought a new life, if you like, to our offering, and allowed you as our users to really embrace more powerful automations in your workplace. But we couldn't stay still, and over the next year or so, we brought in something called UiPath agents. And that was just basically a way of being able to take advantage of the power of LLMs and mix those up with UiPath automations that contained Gen AI activities. And so we were getting these very powerful automations that really are capable now of doing some exceptional work. And the only thing we're short of now are ideas from you, our users, in order to how can we best use these tools to make life better for you in your organizations, whether that's efficiency, whether that's a better working place, an improved job description, whatever that might mean for you in your business. So that's kind of the life cycle that we've been going through, and we're kind of here. We haven't stopped. We are still designing more interesting things that you'll hear more about in April and September next year. But right now, I can only sort of talk about where we're up to in 2025, or the beginning of 2025. Okay, I will stop there. Actually, I will pause just for 2 seconds. Any questions or any thoughts from anyone up to this point? Cool. It means I'm saying all the right things and you're all following everything I say. So please buy UiPath. Please buy UiPath. Place an order today. Place an order today. Please, please. Okay, so what's the next thing? Autopilot. Let's dive straight into the sort of Gen AI and autopilot sort of place. Why? Because autopilot represents our sort of dip in the water of agents. Okay, remember the title of the session is about UiPath Agentic and all things agentic, and autopilot was kind of our very first foray into creating an agent. So you might have used something like Microsoft Copilot. That's an example also of an AI agent. Autopilot for UiPath has a number of different life forms. If you're a developer and you're using Studio, there is autopilot embedded now in Studio and Studio Web, where you can actually ask it questions on how to build automations. And in fact, when you start a brand new project, you can even describe in natural language what you want your automation to do, and autopilot will actually create the basic framework for your RPA design. So pretty powerful. So there's an agent embedded inside Studio. If you're a tester and you're using our Test Suite products, you've got autopilot embedded inside Test Suite in order to create test cases, analyze test data, etc. So again, very powerful, an example of an agent inside the product. If you're a business analyst and you're using our Discovery Suite, again, you can use the power of UiPath agents in order to perform extra jobs and take away a lot of the normal work that you might do in terms of analyzing data to make your job more efficient. So let's have a look at an example of that. I'm going to choose one. Let's choose the developer one. I won't do all of them just for time. If we get time, I might show you the others at the end, but let's just have a quick look at this one. I might just have to switch off sound if there's a, yes, let me just do that. Cool. Okay, I'll fast forward just a little bit. So here we are in Studio, and we're about to start a new project. And what we're doing here is we're describing to the agent, the autopilot agent that's embedded in the product, to read documents from a shared mailbox, and for each document extract data and create a validation task. So I'm just going to pause because the video is going quite quickly. Here you can see it's basically saying, is this kind of what you want? Now at this point you can go back and say, no, I need something other. And you can re-describe in natural language what you want. And then when you're ready and you're happy with the results, you can then click on that generate button. And there we go. Now you can see that the agent has actually created the right activities in the right sequence, ready for you to configure the actual details and configuration of each activity. And of course, if you want something specific and you need help to configure, autopilot is still inside there, available to answer questions about how to do something, maybe create a calculation or how to format a certain piece of data, etc. So again, this is an example of agency inside the product set. And you'll find a lot of people, or a lot of vendors, sorry, in the market are doing exactly that. I'll stop this now because you've kind of seen what's going on. So if you think about vendors who create systems of record, so we're talking about SAP, Salesforce, ServiceNow, etc. They have all built agents inside their product, just like you've seen these AI agents inside UiPath products, such as Studio, Process Mining, and Test Suite. There is a downside to that. There is a sort of a bottleneck, if you like, with that, because that's great. Those agents work very nicely inside that environment. So the agents you've just seen for UiPath work really well inside Studio. But what happens if I want to use it outside of Studio in a bigger business process? I can't, right? It's really dedicated to what's happening in Studio. And they're similar with things like Salesforce and ServiceNow and SAP. Their AI agents are really good within that particular environment. But when you want to do something across the enterprise, you can't. And this is one of the key differences that I would say is with UiPath, is that we are not providing an agent solution just for UiPath. We are providing an agent solution across your whole organization, regardless of what applications are running in that environment or in those processes that you're trying to automate. So that's very key. That's a key differentiator between UiPath and other vendors who are producing AI agents within their tool set. And I'll show you how UiPath perform that in a moment. Let's just discuss quickly what the difference between a robot and an agent is. And again, there is gray. Okay, these overlap. If it was a Venn diagram, there would be some overlap, right? But typically a robot is rules-based. And as you can see in the slide, it is deterministic. It's basically an if, then, else. If this is true and this is true, then do this. And the robot will follow that religiously. it doesn't make a different decision on its own. It will follow the rules that the developer has told the robot to follow. And that's great. We need that. If you're working in high levels of governance, you need to make sure that your automations are going to behave the way that you want them to, right? One of the downsides of having something like an agent, an AI agent, and using LLMs and generative AI is that they are not so deterministic. They are what we call goal-based, and they make dynamic decisions based on the information that they've been given. And that means you can't always be 100% sure that the actual value or decision they're going to make is exactly the one that you want. And sometimes we might call this an hallucination. So you might have heard stories around other offerings where the LLM, the AI, has made the wrong decision, has come up with the wrong answer, has just made stuff up. Okay, and of course we want to reduce that as much as possible. Now, how do we do that? Well, if you look at a very raw LLM, and we'll just take ChatGPT as an example, of course there are others. If we take ChatGPT and I just go to the OpenAI website and I ask a question, the result back to me will be a consolidation based on all the training that LLM has had on the internet. Okay, so for example, if I said at UiPath, can I take Christmas Day off as a holiday? Then the answer from ChatGPT might well be, of course you can. It's a public holiday in all countries, or all Western countries, etc., etc. Bam. That may not necessarily be the UiPath policy specifically for, say, Australia. Happens it is, but let's say it wasn't. The reason ChatGPT cannot give a really good answer is because it doesn't really know the specifics of me, the user asking the question. And so what we want to do is minimize the amount of data the LLM is given so that the answer is more accurate. And how do we do that? Well, you may have heard of something called RAG, R-A-G, Retrieval Augmented Generation. And that's where we are using an LLM with a very, very tight scoped set of data, e.g. HR policies, to say, these are the HR policies of this organization, only derive your answer from those documents. Now, you could go out and build your own RAG, and lots of people do that. It's quite complex, and it takes a lot of effort, and there's a lot of maintenance to keep that RAG up and running. UiPath has created a version of RAG, and we call this context grounding. And for those of you who are developers in UiPath, you'll be familiar with what we call storage buckets. That's just areas of space, if you like, in the UiPath environment, where we can actually create these collections, these context collections of data, and you can have multiple contexts. So I could have a bucket for my HR documents, I could have a bucket for my insurance, I could have a bucket for XYZ. And now we can say to the LLM or the agent, hey agent, here's my scenario, here's my question, this is the set of data I want you to use to find your answer. Off you go. And we're really focusing in, so we have reduced that hallucination. Now, something else that agents need is the ability to collect data and push data to where it needs to go. Now, if you use ChatGPT raw, again, I go to OpenAI, I launch the I want to play with ChatGPT, and I say, hey, ChatGPT, go to uipath.com, please, and tell me all about X. Okay. A typical answer will be, I'm very sorry, user. I don't know how to go to that URL. I can't visit that URL. I can't go to that database. I can't go to SAP. I can't go to Salesforce to get the data you need. So you have to manually somehow get that data and pass it in to the LLM or the agent for it to work, and then it will spit out an answer. Maybe it's created an email text for you. So then you can say to the ChatGPT, well, send that email, please, to Fred. And it'll go, I'm sorry, I don't know how to send emails. I don't physically have the ability to send emails. So what do? You copy and paste that into your email system, your Outlook, or those of you who are still using Lotus Notes, you might send a Lotus Notes message, and off it goes. So there needs to be some human processing in there. But of course, what does UiPath offer? We offer the ability to create RPA processes running by our robots that can do that manual intervention, if you like, and can go to these systems of record to get data to help the agent, the AI agent, do its job. And so what you're seeing now is a coming together of AI or AI agents and also UiPath robots. And as Daniel Dinez, the CEO of UiPath, has said, the future is AI and RPA together, because separately, neither is going to fulfill what you need, but bring them together and you really have a powerful combination. So we've kind of said, well, a robot is deterministic, an AI agent or an agent is more goal-based. These are just some ramblings that we had yesterday internally as a team, and we basically said, well, maybe an agent is an AI-powered software that operates by combining instructions that we've talked about, the prompt, if you like, context. Again, these are the documents that he wants to work on, and tools, and we'll talk about tools in a moment, to achieve a specific goal. And so those instructions or the prompt is to define the agent's goal, and hopefully we can write that in natural language. The context is the body of knowledge it needs to work with, and the tools are the action elements, and tools for us really are UiPath RPA processes, things that you've been building for the last few years to automate business. So AI agents make decisions and perform tasks efficiently with optional human oversight for control and assurance. So that's kind of how we're pushing forward as a technology company. So what is UiPath's product strategy? It's all about enterprise agents. So again, we're not talking about having our agents within a certain domain, just SAP, just Salesforce. We're talking about stretching these across the whole enterprise. We also want to be able to orchestrate those agents and those robots to make sure they're doing the right thing, to make sure they're running efficiently, and to find any bottlenecks. And so we have this thing called agentic orchestration. I'll go into that a little bit more later. And the nice thing about our product strategy is that the enterprise agents and the agentic orchestration is not just limited to the UiPath area. It's across your organization. So the agentic orchestration will apply to all robots, whether that's Microsoft, whether it's SAP, whether it's Salesforce robots, whether it's UiPath robots, will be the sort of umbrella, or could be used as the umbrella across all of your humans, your AI, and all of your robots. And they don't necessarily have to be just UiPath defined. We also want to aim for best-in-class automation, okay? And we want to be on a trusted cloud. We are a cloud-first organization. That's where all our new technology will be delivered. And when we deliver something, we want to make sure it is fully trustworthy and capable. And I'll talk a little bit about the AI trust layer in a moment as well, to see how we address that. I'll pause in a minute just after this next little build out slide. This will just show you how the tech sort of hangs together. Again, this is very high level. Please don't read too much into the layers. It's more just to show you the journey, but you know, you're already familiar with our robots and Studio. You've been building RPA workflows. When there's a problem, you've been bringing in a human in the loop when the robot needs some help. Human in the loop typically is using Action Center, which is something you're all probably familiar with. And Action Center can leverage things like apps for a browser interface with your human, so the human can chat with your UiPath robots to give them help, support with decisions, approvals, etc. Our robots are very good at integrating, and we have an integration service with 200 plus connectors that allow you to connect to any of your systems, no matter what they are. If there isn't a connector, you're able to use our connector wizard to build your own connector. And if there is no API and no software connectivity, of course, we can draw back with our computer vision to do screen and keyboard emulation. You're also familiar with our specialized AI, our document understanding, our process mining, and communications mining. These are products that have been around for 3 or 4 years now. They've proven themselves, and we are market leaders in those spaces. More recently, we brought out Gen AI. I hope some of you have had time to play with some of the Gen AI activities. Again, I'll show you one in action in a moment. If you haven't, we've released a list. I'll show you a list of the activities available. Along with Gen AI and document understanding, we've sort of extended this thing called context grounding. So that's where we can bring, it's basically this RAG I was talking about. This is where we can bring a set of documents into a space and then process those documents. Behind the scenes, there's something called a vector database. You don't need to worry about that. It's all done behind the scenes for you, but it just allows very accurate and fast analysis and searching within that document set. And to complement these new AI components, we've introduced something called the AI trust layer. It's basically an auditing security layer wrapped around the UiPath environment that gives you very fine control about who and what has access to various things. So it's very fine-grained security measures, if you like, to allow or disallow aspects of AI and other technologies around there. So I can switch off things. I can say that person doesn't have access to that thing. There's no access to that particular LLM. Yes, we'll give you access to this area. There's auditing, of course, and we just want to make sure that whenever you're using any of our Gen AI activities, there is control and auditing of those as well. So again, something that we can discuss later. And then more recently, we've brought out UiPath Agents and a product called Agent Builder that allows you to create prompts. Those prompts can work on something called a context. Where do we get the context from? We're leveraging the existing UiPath context grounding. What happens if there's exceptions and the agent needs human in the loop support? Again, we can drop down and invoke Action Center and apps. There's an evaluation test piece, and then it also has access to actionable things. What are actionable things? Guess what? They are your robots and your RPA workflows that you've already built. So you can see how everything sort of ties in together. And in fact, what we haven't done is just suddenly built some, something on the side. This is all integrated with our existing components. So this really is an evolution of our platform. We were already heading in this way. Gen AI and this new agentic automation is just a really nice accelerator for us to get our product out there quicker and faster. But the bedrock is really the RPA bit. That's already in place. You can already leverage that. And then to keep all of this together and to monitor, supervise, etc., we've got this process orchestration piece. Again, this is like an umbrella. It certainly sits within the UiPath piece, but as I mentioned before, it can be extended to include robots from other vendors and also agents and AI from other vendors as well. So again, that will be that's available today, but it's also as a product being enhanced and improved to do more support, and you'll see more of this in April, May next year. Okay, I'll just pause for a second now. Anything come to mind? Any problems? Does anyone violently disagree with anything I've said? Have I said anything controversial and upset anyone? Okay, I'll keep going. So we talked about these Gen AI activities. Last time I spoke about Gen AI. We had 3 or 4 Gen AI activities. These have been enhanced there. I'll let you skim read this this slide, but you can see we've got a fair few Gen AI activities, which all of them are powerful in their own right. The call out ones, PII detection. How much time have you been spent trying to pull out PII information from data before it gets sent for processing? Now there's a Gen AI activity that does a really good job. Very easy to configure and use within your workflow. Some really new stuff for us is more around the images. So image classification and object detection, very powerful, bringing a new element to business automation, excuse me. Signature comparison was also a headache for a lot of organizations. So I have a signature of record. I now have a receipt that's been signed or a contract, and I just want to compare those 2 signatures. We've now got an AI that can do that for you. So again, some very powerful things, and all of these can be placed inside your UiPath RPA processes. So in Studio, you just simply drag and drop them in to enhance your current RPA designs. A lot of these will also be used within your agent designs as well. And you can see here that we kind of pushed these over and said, well, what do these new agents look like? What's an example of an agent? Well, you can see here we've got a web search agent, a scoring agent, a regulatory reporting agent, compliance monitoring agent, risk assessment agent. So these are sort of, if you like, standalone AI components that will leverage some of this Gen AI power plus the power of your RPA processes to really give your organization these very powerful agents that can be used across the enterprise, not just in one department, but maybe could be leveraged by many departments throughout the organization. And again, all wrapped with that trust layer around it to ensure integrity. Just before I dive into the demos, what's an example of where you might use an agent? Well, here we've got a very typical vendor invoice process. The robot does a two-way match using document understanding. It then goes to some humans for dispute investigation. So what do? Well, the human steps are to investigate a mismatch and whether a dispute is needed. Okay, that human piece in this process is time consuming. It's people having to go through lots of documents, trying to understand where the problem is, what the problem is, and what the dispute might be. And then if there is a dispute, it has to go to dispute resolution. And again, very time consuming, very manual, and takes up a lot of time. Once the dispute has been fixed, we can then pass the work to a finance update robot. And of course, that robot simply takes the data and updates the finance system. And so we've got this big bottleneck here where humans are taking a long time to perform their actions. So what happens if we add agents in? Well, we can start using agents to do a lot of that exception processing. Agents and LLMs are very good at looking at data, finding patterns, finding anomalies, looking for areas, summarization, and making accurate assessments based on your prompts. And so that's taking a lot of the headache away from the human team. And so by placing these two agents in the process, we've now really speeded up the efficiency of this dispute resolution, and there's very minimal now human contact needed in order to process these vendor invoices. So you can see the type of work that an agent is good at doing. The takeaway from this slide, though, is interesting, right? We're not saying you have an agent to do all of this work and to replace the robots. It really is an agent working side by side with your robots in specific situations. So we're not saying we've got a vendor invoice agent that does everything. We don't. What we have is a vendor agent process made up of robots, because robots are good at doing their accurate data manipulation. And we've inserted very tactically these specific agents that do a specific job. Yeah, but they're goal orientated and they're doing human type work. So hopefully that gives you an idea of where to look for use cases for agents.
Tony, can I ask a question on the
Of
previous
course.
slide? So my question is, when we are talking about these agents and we are specifically talking about these two, dispute investigation and dispute resolution, is there a requirement of training those agents? That's my first question. And the second question is there a way we can gauge the accuracy of the way agents are responding?
Yes and yes. So first of all, do you need to train the agents? In a way you can, but you're using the context grounding and prompt engineering to do the training. So these are not special LLMs that have been retrained to do this work. They are general LLMs that are using the agent builder. I'm going to show you that in a moment. And we are giving the agent builder the knowledge in order to make a good assessment. Okay, so I'll show you how we train the agent. It's not training the LLM. It's providing the agent with the right knowledge. So I'll show you that in a moment. Sorry, there was two questions to that. There was the training piece, and sorry, what was the second piece?
The accuracy?
Oh, the accuracy, yeah. And you'll see also in Agent Builder that we have an evaluation feature, and that allows you to send test data in order to test the accuracy of your agents as you're designing them. Yep. So you can also test them. But of course, the other option you've got for once they've been published and are live, you've got the process orchestration piece that can also be monitoring what's going on for accuracy. And you've also got the AI trust layer looking at the integrity as well of what your agents are doing. So there's a lot of oversight on your agents.
Thanks, Tony. That answers my question.
Thank you. So we will have a look at Agent Builder. I'll just give you a sneak peek now. This is just a quick screenshot. You can see it's got the look and feel of the UiPath product set. It's called Agent Studio. Agent Builder is part of Studio. And I'll go through all of these pieces. But again, it's drag, drop, configure. I'm not spending time building out Python. What skills do I need? Well, I probably need to understand JSON a little bit, how to read a JSON message, I guess. And I'd need to know maybe what a string, a date, and a time field is. But it really is minimal. So the RPA designers can still do their work and do what they need to do. But from an agent builder, you don't necessarily have to be a UiPath RPA expert in order to build AI agents. It's a slightly different skill set, and you'll see that in a moment. Okay, that's enough of me rambling on and slides. Let's have a look at a couple of things in action. So the first thing I'd like to show you, and I hope my videos come up, I'm just going to show you a quick example of a Gen AI activity in action. You may have seen this before, but this is using something called object detection. And what we're going to see is a user go to their portal. Now, this is using UiPath apps, but of course it could be any UI. You're not forced to use UiPath apps. They're going to log in and they want to request a replacement for an office chair. Their office chair is well worn and tired, and they want a replacement. And part of the request requires them to send a photograph of their existing asset. And so they do that. They load up the photograph. And then they will submit their form for processing. And so that's been done. That's all done and dusted. And now we're going to log in as the asset manager. So how did I use the object detection? So inside Studio, I have this Gen AI activity I've dragged into my process, and it's basically saying which LLM are you connecting to? And do you have permission? So yes, I do. And this is my connection. I'm all nicely licensed up. What are the entities you're looking for? That is simply a dictionary. So if we have a look at an example of the dictionary, I am saying that this piece of AI is going to look at a photograph, and it's specifically looking for light fittings, chairs, and carpets. And I've given it a more detailed description to say, please look for broken light fittings. Please look for worn, ripped, and broken chairs. Please look for worn, ripped, and torn carpet. Okay, that's the job of this AI. So that's going to happen in the background. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. So now the asset manager is going to log in to have a look at the asset requests. As we can see, Mary's been wanting a whole new set of stuff for her office. And here is her request for a replacement office chair. Now, I hope the image is big enough for you to see that the office chair does look like it needs replacing. So I don't think there's going to be a problem with saying yes to that. There is no light fitting, so we can't determine whether the light fittings are broken or not. But I don't know if you can see in your screens, but you'll see that there is a rip in the carpet. Okay, so there we go. There's the response. And if we scroll down a little bit further, we'll see the assessment from the object detection activity. Again, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. Here we go. So As we said before, it couldn't see any light fittings, so there's no to the light fitting. It says, yes, I found a chair. So tick, that was correct. It does say the assessment of the AI is that the office chair appears worn and ripped and broken. Brilliant. That agrees with what the claim is. Notice also it says, you didn't ask me about a chair. I know the claim is about a chair, but I just want you to know that the carpet is ripped. Okay. Now, the asset manager doesn't care about the carpet. He doesn't look after carpets. He only looks after the office chair. So he's going to process that. And he's going to say, Mary, 100%, the AI says you need a new chair. Who am I to disagree with the computer? I'm going to order you a chair. But look what happens when we log in as the health and safety manager. So the health and safety manager is going to log in and have a look at any new incidents that have come in. Notice that we've got a new incident. And if we log in, we'll see that the location and the incident report generated by the object detection AI process has said, hey guys, there is damage to a carpet. It's ripped and torn, and there is some suggested action. The team needs to address and replace the damage to carpet. Why? Because if an employee trips on the carpet, it means the employee is going to be off work, and it could mean there's medical expenses, etc., that the company is liable for as well. So this is how you can start using Gen AI is in a sort of agentic way to start doing interesting things within your organization. And again, I'm sure different scenarios pop into your own mind. So that was an example of using Gen AI in a sort of agentic type of way. I just want to bring up another example now of the agent builder in action. So there it comes up. Here we go. And I'm just going to skip the intro piece. Okay. So what's the scenario that we're looking at? Oh, sorry, I just need to start at the right place. It's just before there. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to see is a UiPath agent, which is depicted with this purple, and I'll go into Agent Builder in a minute to show you how we built this agent, but the agent is sitting there. It sits there 24/7, just doing its thing, waiting for requests. We have here a human in the support team. And basically, the human might have a caller come in. The caller has a customer query, and there is usually a customer ID associated with the caller. Okay, they are sent to the agent. The agent's task is to provide the human agent with all the information they need to process and support the customer. Okay. And the final output is going to be a mix of known outages in the area, because this is a telco style scenario. It's going to suggest what the next steps are for the human agent to take. It's going to give a telephone script that the agent could use to talk to the customer. It will suggest some online guides the customer could use for self-guidance. And for just general information, it's going to bring back the last known customer issues from the ServiceNow ticket system, and it will also bring back some financial information from the SAP system on the client. So it's giving that sort of 360 view to help the human agent respond to the customer. So that's what the agent is going to do, and we're going to create a prompt in order for it to produce that. Some of the information that it needs, it won't know, right? Okay, it's customer ID 123. So what? It means nothing to me. I need to be able to get more information. So the agent has access to a set of tools that it may or may not use. This is important. We've given it access to certain UiPath RPA processes. The agent will decide whether it needs to use those or not through its planning stage. That's really important, okay? You as the designer do not dictate how it's going to do its job. You just tell it what its goal is, okay? So I'm going to pause there for a minute because I see someone's got their hand up. Tim, you've got your hand up?
Hey Tony, yeah, I was just wondering, it was actually on the previous example that you had with the broken office chair. Is the agentic part of it the fact that, you know, no one had to go and upload that image to Gen AI and say, hey, what do you think about this? Like the prompt wasn't required to be generated by anyone. It was sort of integrated into the system that it's like, oh yeah, that chair, and then it goes to the Gen AI, and the prompt didn't have to be generated. Is that sort of part of the agentic part of it?
In a way, in that example, there is a prompt. There's definitely a prompt there, but it's kind of a general prompt. So
Yeah.
there was two aspects to it. First of all, was the claim is about a chair. Is the chair? Please describe the chair to help the decisioning human to make a good decision. And
Yeah,
so in
yeah.
that way, the agent basically said, the AI agent basically said, yes, I've got a picture of a chair and I've been told to look for damaged chairs. And I've found a damaged chair. This is the damage. Here you are, human. That's my assessment. So there was a prompt, but the human involved is not interacting really with the AI. It's
Yes, yeah,
just
I see
getting the
what you mean. Of
result.
course, there had to be a prompt, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the human didn't write it. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the other piece to that was there was also an embedded prompt implied that said, also look for other things like the carpet and the light fitting. Even though the asset manager wasn't interested in those, we've kind of created the agent to say, look, if you discover this other stuff by just accident, if you like, that's still really interesting and we want you to action that. The human won't. It's not in the asset manager's interest or part of his job or her job to raise problems with broken carpet. But as an agent, as an AI agent, we are giving you the capability to identify situations that do need reporting on, if that makes sense. So that's a really powerful use case of an agent where humans, not because they're being antisocial or belligerent, just it's not part of their job. So they've not been told to look for something, so they won't look for it. Whereas an agent can be told to do a whole lot of stuff in the background that maybe humans wouldn't normally do. And this could discover new insights to the business. It could create new opportunities or find new problems that need fixing in advance and be very proactive. So it's a very powerful combination of using sort of the AI agent and the UiPath workflows together.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And sorry, it probably took you back to the previous topic,
No,
but
it's
yeah,
all
I just
good.
wanted to quickly ask that. All right,
Yeah.
thanks.
No worries. So a little bit with this as well, when we are passing a request to the agent, but we're not giving the agent a prompt. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. And then, as I mentioned before, the agent, the AI agent, the UiPath AI agent has access to RPA processes, but it will decide whether to use them or not. Okay, that's important. It's making its own decision. It knows they're there. It will decide if it needs them to support the human request. Okay, so let's just drill into that a little bit more. Obviously, there's this input. So what is it we're passing to the agent at a technical level? Well, it needs, or it would like to do a good job. First of all, in this scenario, this is specific to this scenario, the human agent's name and email address. Okay, that's just for this scenario. It doesn't necessarily have to have them to do its job, but that's what we would like to pass. And it's just a string. So it's expecting that as an input. It's also expecting the customer's problem. Okay, so again, that's an expected string that's being passed in. As an option, we might be interested in the customer's emotion. You know, are they angry? Are they happy? You know, whatever. Just a nice to have sort of thing there. And of course, if the agent, to get more information that it will need later on, we need some sort of unique ID. So the customer name probably isn't good enough. We expect the customer ID. Now, of course, some of this information could be generated from other workflows. But in this scenario, we're just gonna manually pass these 4 pieces of strings or these 4 variables into the agent just for the demonstration. Similarly, we want an output. So this is the expected output. Again, we're not forcing it. We're basically saying, look, we would really like if you could, AI agent, to give me the known current outages in the customer's area. We would really like it, AI agent, if you could also suggest some next steps. And it would be super helpful if you could create a script for the agent, the human agent, to use with the customer. And while you're at it, could you give us some URL links that might be useful for documents that the customer could use? Oh, and part of your goal could be just, can you give me a summary of the support tickets for that customer? And also a quick summary of their finances, please, because that might just help me talk to the customer and maybe upsell, downsell, do whatever I need to do. Okay, so these are the goals that we're expecting the AI agent to produce. And basically we're saying these are strings. They could be other types, but we're just going to keep it easy with string. And notice I'm using natural language to describe what the output is meant to be. Yeah, the AI agent will use these outputs as part of its decisioning to bring out an answer. Okay, so they were the bits and pieces that we're asking. This is the prompt, or most of the prompt. So you've just seen how much information I've asked it to do, yet the prompt is super, super simple. I've basically said, you're an experienced telco services agent, and you're going to provide these 6 pieces of information. Don't create false issues. Don't make stuff up. And don't create false URLs. If you don't have a URL, don't show it. Okay, we can enhance that, but that's all I needed to really do. There's a little bit more in a minute that I'll show you, but pretty much that's the prompt. Okay, so I think this is going to be pretty good. So let's just move on a little bit more. What else do we need to do? Okay, so this is the user prompt. This is the extra bit. I need a way of passing those inputs into the agent. How do I pass those inputs within the prompt? I simply use these double curly brackets, okay, to say the variable that I've just given to you, just add it in the prompt in these places. Okay, I'm helping the customer by saying, look, can you go and get the customer details from the CRM? And yeah, maybe use the customer ID as the lookup. You don't have to put that. I just thought I'd be super, helpful and say to the agent, these are all the things that might help you get the information. Again, I don't think there's anything really complex in that prompt. You don't have to be a Python developer or a, an AI guru to create that prompt. Okay. I then give it a list of tools. So this is like literally is a toolbox that the agent can dip into if it needs to. Doesn't have to. All of this is optional. I've said, you've got an RPA process called get suggested online guides, get support tickets from ServiceNow, go to the IBM Tivoli system to get outages, go to SAP for financials. It doesn't have to use any of these, but they're there if it needs to. Okay, so here's the test. Here's the data we're going to pass, right? Those 4 inputs. I've simply said the human agent, support agent, is called Jeff. That's their email address, and this is the organization they're working for. Okay, this is the query. The customer's called in, some reoccurring issues with their internet connection, keeps cutting in and out. They're very frustrated. Yeah, I think they're pretty angry. And this is the customer ID. I know the customer ID because I'm the support guy and I happen to know what it is. Okay, that's all we're passing in. So what does the agent do? So we'll just step through this. This is super important. Okay, it has decided these are the tools from the tool bag that I need to use to create an answer. Okay, and this is the order I am going to execute them in to get the answer I need. Okay. I, as the designer, the developer, have not told it the order to use. I haven't told it really how to talk to these tools either. It knows what the inputs and outputs are for the tools because they're part of the arguments in the UiPath design. So it knows what the arguments are, but I haven't specifically told it how to use these tools. So again, that is super cool. Let's have a look at the first one. The first thing it's done is it's decided the first thing it should do is go to Salesforce to get the customer details. It's gone to the UiPath workflow and said, here's the ID. And in JSON format, we've got the customer overview from the CRM. Okay. Again, I don't care that it's in JSON as the human because I'm not seeing it, right? I'm just showing you guys this because it's part of the steps that's happening in the background. And similarly, it's going to go through each of those in order. The next thing it said is it's going to go to the Tivoli network analyzer to find out any outages. Now, this is pretty cool because it said the input it's sent to Tivoli is New York, right? We didn't pass in New York as a value in our inputs. The agent was clever enough to know the IBM process needs to know the location of the customer. The chances are the location is in the customer details in the CRM. That's why it decided to run the CRM first. Nobody told it. I didn't program it to do this. The agent actually worked out and decided, hey, I need to go to the CRM first to get the details because the other workflow tools that I'm going to use needs the data, and I think I can get the data from a previous one. So this is pretty cool, right? I haven't had to program any of this so far. And similarly, it's gone to the other backend systems. Here, you've gone to the ServiceNow. It's brought back the service tickets that are relevant. It's gone to the SAP system and brought back the finances about that customer. And it's also gone to the knowledge base, and it's brought back some URLs that are relevant about modems and networks that the customer could use for self-diagnosis in the future. So what does the agent then present back to the human? Well, in this example, this is it. This is what it's brought back. It's given me a list of known outages in the area. And notice there's no JSON here. I haven't told it how to present the information back. It just knows it's presenting it back in a string format. So this is how the agent has formatted it. And it's brought it back with very readable. And it's basically said, yep, there's been an outage in the metropolitan area. The suggested next steps are to monitor the outage. Here's a script I can use to talk to the customer if I need it. These are some online guides I could pass to the customer for self-diagnosis. This is the last known support ticket for that customer. And by the way, this is the financial situation for that customer. So now I have this 360 view that the agent has created for me, the AI agent has created for me. As a customer support agent, I can now give exceptional support to my angry customer. Does that give you an idea of the first cut of how this agent builder works and the kind of things we can do with it? So again, I'll pause a little bit and just...
Tony, yeah, there are a couple of questions on the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I'll open up the chat now because I can see what's happening. Just move some things out the way. Okay, thank you. In this example, yes. So the channel doesn't really matter, right? So we could be monitoring a channel. What would be monitoring the channel? It could be a UiPath RPA process working on triggers. When an email comes in, the UiPath RPA will extract the email, for example, or the message, and pass that to the agent as an input. Bam, all automated. And of course, the response from the agent doesn't have to go to a human. Okay, it could, if you trust the agent and you've done enough testing and you're happy with it, it could generate an email response back automatically, or create the email, send it to the human just for that final eyeball, and then that human just clicks the go because they're comfortable that the AI agent has done a good job. So 100%. It could be multi-channel. I just showed you one example. Thanks for that, Suchern. Mike Conroy, can we get a copy of the video shown the time, please, or is it on the partner portal? Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to show you because of the changes that might happen. But look, let me Saloni, sorry, we've got your details, Mike, from the registration. If I'm allowed to share the video, I will pass it on. In fact, I'll make sure the links are available for everyone. So I think the answer will be yes, but I just need to get a tick of approval. Ron.
Okay, thanks, Tony.
No, you're welcome. Is this in preview or something that can be used in production? Okay, so right now what I'm showing you is in what we call private preview. In other words, only a few select customers globally are using the agent builder right now, and that is for testing, to tweak it and make sure we've ironed out all the bugs. January, maybe beginning of February, it will be in public preview. In other words, all of you can download and start using, well, you don't download it, you activate it in your cloud, and it will be available. So you just have to wait till after Christmas and the New Year. Okay. So that's our New Year's gift to all of you who's online. So certainly it'll be with you very, very soon. Should we, yes, it will. Yes, so we've done the videos, and I might need help to explain on how agents can be effectively incorporated. Absolutely. We can certainly help you with anything like that. Just contact myself or Saloni, and we'll be able to give you any updates and supports you need. There is the video. Okay, so everyone's asking about the videos. Yep, you'll certainly have those. Cool. Okay, so let's have a look at Agent Builder then. So I've shown you kind of step by step what's happening behind the scenes. Let's see how we actually configured it. And as long as I haven't been timed out by Orchestrator, we can have a sneak peek. Okay, so here is Orchestrator. Most of you will know what Orchestrator is, and these are my processes. These are standard RPA processes, and let me just show you one that's a real quick dummy one. Where's the here we are, the online guides one. That's a nice easy one. I'll just see if we can view it here. It might not be a very good rendition, but let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so this is just a standard process. What we're doing is we're sending in a request, and it will filter out various documents from a list and send that filtered list back to the agent. A real super simple RPA process, nothing complex in here at all. And if we actually go to the edit, again, we've done nothing particularly special. These are the inputs and the outputs. Okay. And if we go to the next piece, we've got the display name, nothing special there. We've got the description. That is important. Okay. Out of everything here, the important piece is the description, because that is what the agent, the AI agent, is going to use to determine whether it's a useful tool or not for what they want to do. So this bit has to be descriptive. The other thing to note is don't have another RPA process that is super similar. Otherwise, the agent will get confused. Try to keep your tools or your UiPath processes named and described very differently, so the agent can make a really good, accurate assessment of whether it needs to use that tool or not. Okay, it'll make sense in a minute when I show you the next bit. But that's basically the processor. So I've not done anything special with the processors. Let's have a look at Agent Builder. This is it. So what is it? Agent Builder is a studio-like piece there. I've given it a name for my project. Notice I can choose the model. Now in this development area, I only have access to one model, one LLM. Of course, when it goes live, you will have access to 12, 13 different supported LLMs. That could be Claude, it could be Gemini, it could be OpenAI, whatever. But I've been limited to just choosing this one, which is okay for what I need. I then give it a name and a description. Okay, the description's important. Why is it important? Because agents can talk to other agents. Okay, tools don't just have to be RPA. They could also be other agents. So having a description about what this other agent does, super important. Then I define my arguments. Look how easy that is. Add property. There it is. Just add what I need, give it a good description. Really important. Again, these descriptions are used by the AI agent. So getting a good description is 100% important. Okay, so I can add as many inputs as I need for this particular agent. Oh, sorry. And then we have the output schema. So what's the output expected? And as I described last time, I'm just expecting strings. And these are the kind of things that I would like my agent to create as an output. Now, I also have the ability to edit the, excuse me, the raw schema. So if those of you who really are into your JSON and just want to be more of a codey feel to things, switch that on if you want. You can edit things at this level as well. Okay, so now I've got my agent with a name. I've given it some inputs and outputs. I can start then Oh, actually, sorry, something I didn't show you. Let's actually do this live. If I go to the input schema and I add a new property, and we'll call it, we'll just call it extra one. And I'll put in here oh, sorry, let me just click on that. Not needed dash optional, because I don't want to confuse my agent, and it's not required. I'll just confirm that. Bam. There it is. It's added it now to my test area. Yeah. So if I just move that over a little bit, these are my defined inputs. Now this extra one, how do I add that in? Let's say we did have that and I wanted it to be part of the prompt. Some extra info is, job done. It will now push that past input information into the prompt. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that because I don't actually want to mess about with that. And there we go. So as you can see, the system prompt is pretty simple. I actually over-engineered my prompt to begin with, and it just confused the agent. And I actually had to make my prompting simple for the agent to become more accurate. Yeah. So it's actually quite interesting on just how intelligent the agent is. So here you can see that hopefully you can read the text, but basically I'm saying these are the inputs that you need. And this is my suggestion of what the agent should be doing. So part of the output, I've just reiterated what I want it to do. And I've given it a suggestion of what it should use. So if you're going to use the ticketing system, I suggest you use the customer ID value as the unique value. It would have worked it out itself anyway. I was just being pedantic. Okay, so once I've got my prompt working, I can now create my toolbox. What's actually inside? Let me just get these smaller for you. What are we giving them the agent access to? So if I go to add tools, you can see that I've got this list of UiPath processes available to me. I hadn't added all of them. That will just cause confusion. All I've done is added the minimum number of RPA processes this agent might need. Okay, I can always add it later after testing if I need something extra, but give it the minimum. Importantly, give it a really good description of what this process does, because the AI agent will use the description to determine whether this tool is useful for the thing it's been asked to do. Okay, now just going back to the prompt, in this example, this was a customer with a complaint. Okay, and if you look down here, I have mentioned network issues, but the complaint might have been he's been billed too much for the service. So it wasn't a complaint about the Wi-Fi or his internet. It might be a finance complaint. Okay, the agent will change the way it works depending on the nature of the customer query coming in. Yeah, so I don't have to be very specific. I'm not creating an agent for network issues. I'm creating an agent for customer support issues. So it's a very versatile agent. And in that example for finance, maybe it only uses the SAP and the Salesforce information and doesn't even bother with the Tivoli outages because it's not part of what we need it to do. So that was the tools, and that was the prompting. And then context. So this is the context grounding. This is where, or RAG, for those of you who also are familiar with that. This is where we could put other instructions and helpful material for the agent to use. So an example might be a guide on how to be a good customer service agent. And that might be a 10-page PDF that I've added to my context grounding area. And if I do add context, I don't know if anything's been brought in here. So yes, so I've got just some default folders where I could put my data. Let me just see if there's any indexes. I don't think I've created anything, but let me just check. No, I haven't created anything there, but I simply just give it the name of the context grounding area. That's where my document or documents are that the agent could use to help it make a determination. So in this example, it would be how to be a good customer service agent. Yeah, if I was doing an insurance type scenario, maybe I might put some policy information in the context grounding or something like that. So you decide what's the best information for the agent to rely on in order to do its job. And then lastly, we've got this area called escalations. I hope that you can see that just off the screen. So this is basically what happens if there's a problem. What happens if we need human support? And in this example here, you can see that I'm able to, sorry, if I add a new one, sorry, if I go here, we can sort of add different types of escalation and give it a description. So I could have an escalation for this scenario, a different escalation for this scenario. What's it meant to do? Well, it could use Action Center, it could use apps, it could send emails. You decide what an escalation means and how it should behave depending on the scenario for the for that escalation. Now we can actually do a test run. Now I just need to make sure I haven't added any extras that weren't there before. I don't want to break it. So let's just see if this will do a run. Customer service name, we'll say Dave, and customer query, my internet is down. Oh, sorry, I should have pre-prepared these, apologies. Customer emotion, very angry. I've been offline for too long. Need to watch my TikTok. Customer service number, just test one I've created, and the extra text I shouldn't be using, but I'll do that. What doesn't it like here? Hopefully that's, sorry, I've missed something out. Anyone spotting anything here? I've obviously added something that I shouldn't have done when I was explaining things. So just bear with me for 2 seconds while I whiz through. Oh, it's the context. Here we go. Let's get rid of that. There we go. There's no context. Okay, so let's run that, see what happens. And I've also messed up my JSON as well. So this demonstration isn't going to go to plan, but we'll just see what happens here. If this doesn't run, we'll just move on to data sets. There we go. Okay. So the first thing it's doing is it's saying, okay, I've been told that this is what I need to, my goal is. And the first thing I'm going to do is get some information from the CRM to understand my customer. Based on that, I'm also planning to use these different tools as well. Okay. And if I expand these, you can see during testing what the ID was that was sent to the tool, the RPA process, and you can see the return value from that RPA process. And I can see that for each tool. So I can do some testing inside the designer to find out whether my agent is working well or not. And that's great at a design stage, but of course we might want to do something a little bit more in depth, and so we can create evaluations. So in this example, I've got a very simple one evaluation. So I've created a set, and inside here I've done my one test that actually failed. I was testing for New York. It didn't find New York. It failed. But of course, what I can do is create hundreds of different scenarios, press go, and it will just in the background test the agent with all these different scenarios with different test data, and it will bring back the relevant information about how accurate the agent was, whether the expected results were coming back, etc., etc. Cool. Okay, so it looks like we're dead on time. I've done my 45 minutes. Hopefully there was enough information in there. Let me just drop back to the slides just to make sure I haven't missed anything out. The only bit, if you can give me 2 seconds, I will just cover off AI trust layer, and then we'll have some Q&A. So just in terms of Gen AI, agents, etc., these are the typical questions that come up. I'll let you speed read through these. Does UiPath address these? Of course we do, 100%. They are sort of pre-built into our offering. I've mentioned this AI trust layer before. Again, I'll let you speed read through these, but basically we provide an LLM gateway to act as a sort of proxy service, so we can monitor which LLMs you are using and choosing. We invoke PII automatically to make sure you're not accidentally sending PII data around. We are monitoring for harmful content. So again, is that being passed around and you'll be alerted? There is Gen AI feature governance. In other words, does this developer or designer have access to this Gen AI activity or not? And we can do a lot of other fine-grained governance capabilities as well at the orchestrator level. And then, of course, auditing and cost control. So you want to set some limits and also go back in time for audits and look at the audit trails for historical purposes. The architecture, I'm not going to go into this. There is an architecture. You can see where it sits. There is more in-depth information on the docs site, UiPath website for documents. But you can see here how it's all sort of wrapped in to pretty much everything we do. Again, feel free to discover more on the docs.uipath.com. And just a very final thing about that agentic umbrella orchestration piece. What are the problems? Fragmented automations. You've got lots of automations spread across the organization. You've got these cross-dependent tasks. You've also got a hybrid workforce. You've got agents, robots, humans all working together. And of course, with all these different bits of automation around, you've got limited visibility. There's no overarching sort of visibility of what's going on with your agents, robots, and humans at a business process level. And of course, what we're doing is providing that visibility, that umbrella across all of that. And how does that work? Well, at the build level, we also support you at the managed level and at the monitoring level. And again, we're bringing all of this in, not only from a UiPath robot, human, and agent point of view, but also third parties as well. So if you're using Copilot with Microsoft somewhere, we can interact, monitor, and help keep an eye on that as well. So it's like overseeing, overarching orchestration of everything AI. Excellent. Okay, I'll stop sharing and drop to the Q&A. Hopefully we're back.
Yeah, sorry. There are a number of questions from Mohammed. I have dropped it at the end of the chat.
Thank you.
You can answer them. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, there's sorry, I'm just going through it now. Will Agent Builder use in-house LLM open? Okay, so UiPath do actually host, I think it's 14 different LLM vendors, and you will have access to choose any of those 14. They're the most popular. Okay. We also are building out the capability of bring your own LLM. So if you've already got a model, you fine-tuned it, you want to use that, you will be able to bring those in. There's limited capability today. That will get better over time. So there is a lot of request for bring your own LLM. Is it possible to the platforms open? Okay, right now with the agent builder, obviously it's very focused on the UiPath environment just because it's day one, right? This is literally off the plate. Obviously your choice of LLM at the moment is limited to the LLMs that we provide to you within our hosted offering. But with this bring your own LLM, then of course the roadmap will be you can start choosing your own LLMs within there. But technically it's quite challenging. Just the reason being is, although you've selected a particular LLM to perform the agentic role, we have other AI that we've built into Agent Builder that helps it. It's like a helper agent for the agent, and that's the thing that we need to make sure works with everything else that comes in. So there is a technical challenge. It's on the roadmap. It will be addressed. It's just not available today. How long does it take to train the agent and publish it? Well, that demonstration took me, say, 2-3 hours with a bit of training before I could publish it. It really depends on how complex it is, how much testing you're prepared to do or need to do. So I'm afraid I can't answer that. But we're talking in hours and days, not weeks and months. Okay, so again, it also depends. Do you have the RPA processes available that the agent needs? Because if you have to go and design an RPA process to support the agent, that's going to push the time out. If you're able to leverage everything that you've already got, then of course agent building will be a lot quicker. Will the agent be available in UiPath Assistant too? Absolutely. Again, at the moment, UiPath Assistant is using what we call autopilot. And Autopilot and Agent Builder will be coming together in order to work seamlessly. So the answer is yes. Does it do it today under private preview? The answer is not very well. Will it in the future? Absolutely. That's definitely roadmap and part of the plan. Will Agent Builder be able to Enterprise Pro trial? Okay, good question. I don't know. I have no control over that. My understanding is with all UiPath products, we try to make it available to everyone to play with. But because there is a cost to the usage of LLMs that are outside of UiPath's control, right? OpenAI don't give their LLM for free. They don't give it to free to UiPath either. So there is going to be a cost factor involved. Maybe UiPath will give you a free trial period or give you so many units to use as a trial. I don't know. I'm afraid it's watch this space. But of course, if you've got a checkbook ready and you say, look, can you have a trial? Then talk to your UiPath salesperson, talk to Saloni as a UiPath partner, and I'm sure that we can help you if you're looking to progress with this as a paying customer. What is the costing? How will it be charged? Again, it will be through some sort of AI unit model. What that looks like, we don't know yet. And it's a case of watch this space. But let's just put a finger in the air. And again, I go back to that safe harbor first slide. Everything I say and do about any of this new stuff could change at a moment's notice. But I would be prepared to just say one AI unit every time I call an AI thing. That will give you a ballpark start. And if you go, oh my goodness, that's like 1,000 times more expensive than if I built my own, then let us know. Tell us what it is you're trying to build, and we'll just see whether that costing model needs to be changed or doesn't work. Does work? We'll work with you. Talk to Saloni. Talk to the AI. Talk to the UiPath sales teams. Obviously, we want to be there to make this useful and cost effective for you. The agent builder, once templates are made or exhausted, could we automate by adding the customer account number on the AI once the templates are made or exhausted? Sorry, Mike, could you just expand on the question? I'm not reading it very well.
Yeah, that's fine. So let's go back to the example where there was a network issue or there was a finance issue, right? And then let's say hypothetically we built all the templates, or we haven't built all the templates. Could we not use RPA then to basically send out those tickets automatically by just changing and identifying the customer who issued that ticket, as opposed to manual input by the human operator?
Sorry, 100%. Absolutely. I just had to build a quick demonstration for today and to show. There is no reason why everything you saw could not have been totally robotic, whether it's agent or robot. 100%. There was no need for any staff member in the telco to touch that query. It was basically, my network's not working. Yes, we know there's outages in New York. Watch this space. Here's some URLs to read. Ring us back in a couple of hours if it's not been fixed. You don't need a human for that, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
100%. And then again, if it was a finance question and the AI agent is looking at it going, this really isn't for me. I really don't know how to do this. Your escalation plan could be, if it's finance related, please invoke finance agent. And that whole package of information would be sent to another AI agent that is dedicated to finance. And if it couldn't do a response there, then we might pass it to a human. So again, these agents talking to agents is just as important as agents talking to UiPath processors.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so here's something. Look, I haven't told Saloni this, but how about we make you all a one-off offer, and it's only for people that are online. So anybody looking at the recording, this doesn't apply to you because you couldn't be bothered to watch us live. If you wanted me to build a demo of your particular agentic use case, and again, please bear in mind it's all going to be stubbed and proof of concept. I'm happy to build that with Saloni and the Pernix team, just to help you see how it could look in your organization. So let's open that up. Happy to do that. Please email Saloni if you've got your agentic ideas and if you wanted to do that. Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, cool. But it has to be a good idea. I'm not going to do rubbish, right? It's got to be a good business idea that we can get our teeth into. Yeah. Again, if you needed a more one-to-one for your organization, deep dive as to what we've covered or anything specific, again, go through Saloni, go through the Pernix team. They will help you, and I'm more than happy to be part of that if it makes sense to deep dive with maybe your bigger team or your wider business users. If you just wanted to see how agentic might fit in to your business scenarios. Yeah. I'm going to stop talking. I'm giving too much away now. I'm giving too much consultancy away.
Thanks, Tony. No, it was a great session. Yeah. Any more questions for today? Right.
Hi, Saloni.
So, yeah, go ahead.
This is Vijay from .solved. Hi, Tony.
Hi.
First of all, this is a great session.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing this, the sea of knowledge to us and helping us getting started, kind of an early start here with the agentic world. So I have a couple of questions. One is that on the governance and control. So how do we ensure that the agents are doing what they're supposed to do? And how do we review those results and retrain or improve?
Sure. So my experience of the agents at the moment is they tend to do what they are told to do. Okay. But of course, there may be certain situations where you need that really tight governance, that real tight sort of, we can't afford for this agent to make a mistake or get it wrong. So what you could also build in is a reflective agent. So the first agent would do its job. It would pass the answer to this reflective agent whose job is to check the output of the original agent and go, does this look right? Does it meet this criteria? Does, there might be a checklist, there might be some documents on policies and things, and you get another agent to double check the work of the first agent. So that sort of reflection scenario could be one way of doing it. And of course, you could also use standard RPA, because remember, UiPath RPA is black and white deterministic. So you could say, here is an answer. Does this answer make sense to a logical calculation or a logical sort of investigation? So there are a number of techniques we can use to really tighten up the goodness of an answer to make sure it is tight. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. And my final question would be, we are building this solution, the agentic thing, so that we can help our customers. And as you might have known, the RPA world itself was difficult to sell to a customer. Since I'm a practice lead here at .solved, I also do some pre-sale solutioning, and it's kind of tough to sell these things and put the ROI and justify the investment they make. So from a sales perspective or pre-sale solutioning perspective, do we have more sales material, or how do we sell this agentic part of this? What is the best approach to sell?
Yeah, it depends what you're selling. If you're selling the end solution, is obviously going to be different to selling the Lego, right? I'm selling Lego. I'm saying, here is some bricks, go off and build something. You're saying, here is a pre-built Lego thing, Mr. Customer, that happens to have this agentic stuff in it. And really, it's a case of really touching the hearts and minds of the business. You are not selling anymore in the same way that you sold RPA. Okay, if you're saying I can reduce the number of people, the number of hours, that's not really the sell for agentic, right? Agentic is a different conversation. It's about transforming their business. and it's about bringing together robots, humans, and AI in a very different way. And I think an organization, first of all, has to have an appetite to want to go and do that. And if they're not ready, they're not ready. Doesn't matter how much you sell, how much discount you give them, they're just not ready, right? So there's a lot of people persuasion to do. And then secondly, it's the accuracy. You know, there's a lot of scare stories out there about AI getting it wrong. And a lot of people are just wanting that comfort to go, how can you, in fact, you asked the question, how can I make sure that it's going to be correct and right? And again, that's a problem. It really is a problem, because how do you prove that the AI is going to be right every time? Because it's not deterministic, it's not black and white. And that can only happen through that evaluation piece that I showed you, and putting through as many iterations as possible. And you have to basically say, look, we've put through 1,000 test scenarios and it got it right 1,000 times. And that could be a way to prove to your customer that, yeah, this is good. This is, you know, and then to tell them if it did get something wrong, this is how quickly we can fix the, well, this is how quickly we can identify it got it wrong for a start. Did we find it wrong before it got to the customer? Which is important, right? We were proactive in finding a problem, and then this is how quickly we fix the problem. I think they're kind of the conversations that seem to be happening in the customer world at the moment, as they look, and everybody's looking over their shoulder at everybody else. And people say to me, Tony, this is great, this agentic stuff. Where should we use it? And I'm going, well, where do you want to use it? Where's the need? And they're going, oh, we're not sure yet. We'll wait till somebody else has done it. In our, you know, a competitor has done it, and then we'll copy them. So the world is waiting for everybody else to start. That's my feel. And so you just need to find that organization that's ready to take a punt and go, okay, we've got a safe area, we've got a safe use case. We're going to try it. We're going to give it a go, and we're going to monitor it. We're going to work with, you know, our implementation partner like Pernix. We're going to work with UiPath as the vendor, and we're going to work together and prove that this, you know, this is good. Collaboration. Sorry, the answer to your question is collaboration. It's no longer one person selling anymore. It really is a team effort with this agentic approach. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony.
Okay.
Awesome.
Tony, there's one last question. I think you already shared that, but happy to read it for you. How's the pricing model looks like for implementation of agentic solution at organization level?
Yeah. Okay. So the implementation is slightly different. So that is really what I'm going to throw back to Saloni, because implementation is the services and the time it takes and testing, rather than the cost model of running it day to day. Okay, so the cost model, as I mentioned before, has not been fixed in stone. So just to start somewhere, this really is just a finger in the air. Let's start somewhere. Let's assume one AI unit per AI call, whatever that AI thing is. Okay. However, an implementation, it's really hard. You're going to need to know what is the scenario, who are the stakeholders, and how long. So we are doing some work with some chosen customers who are doing this early private preview. And we're looking at around 2 weeks, a 2-week turnaround to do the discovery, build out the agent, do the testing, and check the RPA processes. So we're looking at around about 10 days. So whatever 10-day services might look like, that would be the implementation. And then the cost, the running cost, as I say, needs to be determined, but you're looking at a combination of UiPath RPA robots, because you need the robots as well. So you've got that licensing to look after. And then, as I said, finger in the air, let's just go for one AI unit per AI call. That's gonna be big, right? That's way too expensive, but at least it's a start point. You know, yeah.
I think that's the end of questions. Well, are we happy to wrap up if there are no further questions?
Cool. Well,
Thanks
thank you
a lot,
very
Tony.
much for your questions. Thanks for your time. Hopefully I'll get to meet some of you. I don't know where you're based. If you're all based in Adelaide, I'll give you advance notice and you can all buy me a beer or a drink. Sorry, I'm not allowed to say that. You can buy me a drink, whether that's coffee or alcohol. I prefer alcohol next time I'm down. Yeah.
Great, Tony. It was a great engaging session, and thanks a lot, everyone, for participating. For those who asked about the recording, this would be hosted on the chapter. And then, Tony, once you get an approval for the video, it can be shared. I hope we can pass on the same to the participants. Great. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you, everyone.